Welcome back into the college show powered by Dynasty Nerds. I am your host, Garrett Price, and I've got these four handsome gentlemen here today to talk about the 2027 class. That's right. We are getting out ahead of things here. Let me introduce the guys. Jared Wackerly, how you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm excited to talk some more prospects. Never too early to look ahead.
No, it should be a fun class. Andrew Mott, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad that you included yourself in the four handsome gentlemen because there's only three of us here and you're the other one. So I'm glad you did that.
Look at what I did there. All right, Jagger May, how you doing, man?
I am good, man. I'm happy that we're talking about the craziness, which is the 2027 draft picks. No, you can't have mine. So,
yeah. Don't even think about it. So we got together. We made a list of, we have like 26 guys on this list. And we put it all together. And then we all ranked the players from 1 to 26 based on where we would have them today. Now, we already said this for the 26 class when we were doing some of these videos. Don't hold us to this. This is extremely early to be talking about these players. There is so much that could still alter and change. And there's plenty of these guys that could decide not to come out. So there's so much that could change in this process. But we at least want to get you familiar with the biggest names in the class. So we're going to be going through how we ranked the top 10 guys in this class. And overall, if you've been paying any attention to Dynasty Fantasy Football, the 27 picks are like gold right now. Everybody wants them, and there's good reason. There's some really, really talented players in this class. But even from an NFL draft perspective, NFL scouts are really excited about this class as well. It should be a really good one. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it, and let's start off with the crown jewel of the class, the number one guy, Jeremiah Smith. Now, Jared, you and I are Ohio State fans, so we've gotten to watch a decent amount of Jeremiah Smith and any other Buckeyes that could or could not be in this class. We'll wait to say that. But what are your thoughts on Jeremiah Smith?
I mean, just to say that he could go down as the best Ohio State wide receiver ever is saying a lot, just given what kind of talent has gone through there recently and even in the past. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's got the size. I mean, he's built like he could have played in the NFL as a true freshman, the way this kid's built. He's got the athleticism you look for. He's got the hands. He can make plays on the ball, with defenders wrapped all over him. So, I mean, he's just the total package, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's the first overall pick, even if there's a good quarterback prospect next year. Like, he's that kind of guy. But everyone knows about Jeremiah Smith, right? Like, I don't think we need to belabor the point. What do you guys, Jagger, Andrew, what do you guys think about Smith?
I think he's Julio Jones, and we get a shot to see Julio Jones completely healthy. Like, what if he didn't have nagging injuries throughout his entire career? And I'm all in on that, baby. So, because I genuinely think Julio Jones, if he was healthy throughout most of his career, would be considered one of the greatest of all time. So that's just like, he already is considered one of the greatest of all time, but he has that asterisk because of like games missed. So yeah, if you even get close to that realm, I haven't even heard anyone comp to Julio Jones, and we're egregious about comps as a community. So I'm way excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, when I watch him, I see a lot of like when AJ Brown is on, it's kind of AJ Brown-esque with Jeremiah Smith. So I love everything that we've seen. I mean, really for me, it's one of the greatest prospects that I have scouted during my time doing this, and I haven't been doing it for super long, like 4 or 5 years that I've really been scouting prospects. So I have had the chance to watch a Jamar Chase come through. I've had a chance to watch a Justin Jefferson and these guys come through. He's as good as all of those guys. So for me, he's probably going to be one of the better wide receiver prospects I have ever seen with my own eyes.
You love A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown is so damn good. The problem is that his offense doesn't throw the football.
Yeah. You comped someone else to him last week, right? Is it Chris Bell or who was it?
A.J. Brown. It was the size.
Yeah, okay.
It was
or 2 weeks ago, maybe.
I can't remember.
Was it Chris Bell?
Yeah, Chris Bell. His size.
And then he went off.
And then he went out and went off. Yeah. What do you know about that?
Yeah, it was perfect timing.
And Andrew's like, yeah, I did. What about it, boy?
Yeah, you heard me.
You just wish I would comp you to A.J. Brown. That's what you wish.
Garrett, what do you think about Smith?
Look, it's very, very rare to have a prospect where right now I'm like, I don't know what the weakness is. Like usually it's very, okay, this is what he's good at. This is what he needs to improve on and he struggles with a little bit. I mean, I guess I could say maybe clean up some of the drops, but we saw Jamar Chase last night have several drops and still had 16 receptions in the game and just break fantasy football. So those higher level guys, they don't care about drops. Can you make special plays? Can you do things without after the catch? Can you get open? He can do all of those things. So yeah, there's a reason that his score coming out as a prospect was a 101. I didn't know they went to 101. I thought they stopped at 100 on 24/7
I didn't know they did
Sports.
that either.
Yeah, go look. It's 101. It's hilarious.
That.
Like he's that talented, and he showed it right away at Ohio State. And there's no doubt that he's an absolute stud. But there's a lot of other very talented wide receivers in this class. So let's get to our consensus number 2 guy, and it's Cam Coleman out of Auburn. Another very, very talented receiver. Jagger, what are your thoughts on Cam Coleman?
Another physically imposing player, and he's someone that I had finally put eyes on him by watching an actual game with him in it. He's one that's like Twitter. I've seen everyone's like Cam Coleman, Cam Coleman, Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
And we're already scouting his running mate right now, and he's what I think a more complete prospect for the simple fact that he's not just a gadget guy. And you want to talk about size, man? We're back to like old school, we're bigger than you type receivers with this class, and it
true
feels
X's.
good. Yeah, those true X's that like I feel like Rome Odunze is the only one we've had in a while. Marvin Harrison Jr., say what you want, but he hasn't put the whole thing together yet,
Right.
and that's why he's jumped to number 2 for me. I don't know if you guys ever do this, but when you're scouting other players for your current class and then someone else pops, that was Cam Coleman for me. I was like, who's this other dude? You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I got to focus on the one prospect. I'm like, oh, hey, there he is again.
Yeah.
No, that happens all the time. Jared will text me and be like, hey, I was watching this guy, but I saw this guy. That happens all the time.
I always got to make a note of him. But dude, he reminds me of like George Pickens, kind of like when he was in college. Just the kind of plays that he makes, like over the top and just jumping over defenders, and you know the ball skills are just there. Like that's what really pops for me. Like Keon Coleman, he's a beast.
Yeah, I really like him too. It's like you said, that contested catch point. He has a really massive catch radius. It feels like it's everything that's thrown his way. He has the ability to at least have a shot at going and get it. So I definitely like him. I was really between him and Ryan Williams from Bama as my number 2 wide receiver in the class. But I think we've just seen a little bit more consistency so far from Cam Coleman, and that's kind of what gave him the edge, although Ryan Williams is not a slouch at all.
No. Not a slouch in the least. And you kind of led us into our next guy. So let's go ahead and get right into him. Ryan Williams, wide receiver out of Bama. And he was a player last year that really burst onto the scene right away. It was funny. I went to an Ohio State game and I was listening to some people talk behind me, and they were talking about Jeremiah Smith, but then they're like, have you heard about that kid from Bama though too? He's not even 18 yet. Did you see the plays that he was making and blah, blah, blah. So we have an extremely young freshman last year in the biggest games, making some of the most incredible body control catches that you would see from a wide receiver. The way that he was able to contort and move in the open field and stay in bounds. Like there was just a lot of things that you're like, holy cow, that translates. And so you already started talking about him, Andrew. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I think this kid is awesome. You kind of hit it with the body control. If you've been on any social medias over the last 12 months, you've seen the highlight of him making that catch on the sideline where he's kind of hitting the spin move in the air as the defenders are both trying to tackle him. He does that a lot, man. You just look at his ability after the catch, his ability to make people miss. It is incredible, to say the least. Excuse me. It is incredible just to see him, kind of get out in the open field. I think he's a player that obviously this year, we've seen maybe a little bit of a sophomore slump from him, but it has been a little bit injury riddled as well. So that's something that I definitely have noted in my notes, but I have no worries about him long term. This happens every once in a while. You get these ups and downs with some of these prospects, especially when you're as young as Ryan Williams. So I still think he's a very, very good prospect and somebody that I would still be looking at as like a top 5 pick in 2027 right now.
Yeah, the only knock on him is really just the drops. Sometimes like he tends to drop the ball a little more frequently than the other two guys that we've discussed. But I was thinking I think he's like a mix of DeVonta Smith, Jameson Williams, and like Garrett Wilson. Like those
he's got
three
more of their
combined.
build,
like he's got
for sure.
Yeah. He's like 6 foot, 180 some pounds, just twitchy receiver, but dude, he's such a freak. Like,
damn it, Jared! I was literally gonna say that he's DeVonta Smith and Jameson Williams together.
Really?
Yes,
that's so funny.
That's exactly
what
I was gonna say.
My bad, bro. We once again are on the same page, but I just want to say, like, these 3 receivers here, like, these guys are like blue chip, like guys that you want to have on your. Yes. Like if they were in this 2026 class, they would be 1, 2, 3 at wide receiver. So I just want that to be known for when you guys are trying to figure out what to do with your 2026 picks versus 2027 picks. I've already, we talked about it on the main Dynasty Nerd show. Like I've been sending 2026 first and for 2027 first, even with like a third on top. And people are like, what the hell is this? But I mean, it's for these guys right here. Like these guys are what you want out of rookie drafts. Like these are the guys that are going to produce wide receiver 1 seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And it helps when the coming out of high school pedigree matches too. I mean, these were the top. They were either 3 of the top 4 or they were the top 3 guys in the class coming out. So they've taken exactly what we saw in high school.
Yep, 1, 2, 3.
That's what I thought. 1, 2, 3. So they've taken it right out of high school, right into college, done exactly what everyone kind of expected they would do, which doesn't always happen. Every once in a while, like the top guy will stay the top guy, but for the entire top end of the wide receiver class to just go straight to the NFL or straight to the college football and contribute as freshmen to the level that they contributed, and now as sophomores, we're not really seeing much of a drop off. Really, really, really impressive. So these are the blue chips, the creme de la creme. It's these 3 guys. But there's some other players in this class that are very, very interesting as well. And let's start getting into the quarterback position here. And we have a tie for the 4th spot. So 4th and 5th are kind of tied here. But let's talk about Julian Sayin. And Jared, I know as an Ohio State fan, you and I, we watch quite a bit of Ohio State Buckeye football. And watching him play, I was really curious how he was going to do this year. Maybe not quite the athlete that some of these other quarterbacks that are coming out are, but man, can this kid spin the football. I mean, it is on time. It is accurate. He makes smart decisions. Like a lot of what you would traditionally have looked for in a quarterback, Julian Sayin seems to have all of those traits and maybe even pluses on those traits.
Yeah, and another guy that had that recruiting pedigree as well. Like he was the number 1 ranked, depending on the recruiting service you look at, but on 24/7 Sports, number 1 ranked quarterback, 5-star. So, like he's got that to him too. So like it's been there. We were just waiting to see it, and finally get to see it this year at Ohio State. And like you said, dude, accurate passer, and that's one of my biggest things I look for in a quarterback is can you consistently make accurate throws to keep your offense moving? Like we see these guys that are really good athletes come and go at the NFL level, but the guys that really stay around are the ones that can consistently produce wins for you, and a lot of that comes with being able to throw. This guy does it. So Jagger, Andrew, have you guys had much of a chance to watch Buckeye games yet this year and see Julian Sayin throw the ball?
I've watched most, and I like to use the Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah phrase for him particularly, because I don't know, because I think I might be the lowest on him, about lowest that maybe I'm tied, but yeah, well, I guess like Garrett, you are the lowest on him, actually. You always nerf your Ohio State guys. I respect that about you. But I feel like out of the last I guess since Will Howard, since CJ Stroud, I feel like now I don't have to ask if he's a truck or a trailer. Like, I know he's not a trailer. I don't feel like it's the receivers pulling him along, and I feel like he's a part of the offense. That's what you felt with Will Howard and whatnot, and I don't feel that yet. And with that alone, I think it says something, because like all the traits we're describing are pretty boring, but a lot of that boring stuff is what we need. I'm like, wow, this guy's on time and accurate. Wow, you look at Cam Ward, he was doing all the flashy stuff, and I wrote several times, I'm like, this guy is never on time. That is a massive red flag. He's never, ever, ever on time. So you just doing the boring things right now, I think we should applaud that with quarterbacks. And I don't mean to like be a wet blanket. If anything, I mean, it's the opposite. He's just doing his job. And I think that is a very underrated trait.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jagger, where it's like sometimes the guys who have to make the superhero plays because they're putting themselves in situations where they have to make superhero plays, it's not as good as you think it is. It looks cool sometimes on the highlights, but it's not as good as you think it is. So I do like the fact that he's just very confident, smart quarterback. He's not your prototypical size. He's not going to be that 6'5", 230, 40-pound quarterback that you see like a Herbert or a Josh Allen, but I think he's a very, very solid quarterback. And 15 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in his first year as a starter. Yeah, you can't really complain too much about what he's doing.
Yeah. He's like Baker Mayfield, who is a church camp counselor, and like instead of Baker Mayfield,
not getting like DUIs at Oklahoma.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like he's a little bit smaller, not quite as saucy, but he can get it done.
Sure. Church camp version. I love it. All right. Well, let's get to a quarterback that we're making some very interesting comps to a quarterback that he's made his own comps because he looks like him. He's trying to play like him. He moves like him. And for some people, they think it's fun and it's great. And others are like, it makes me want to vomit. But he is getting the job done. He has Nebraska at 5-1, and that's Dylan Raiola here out of Nebraska. We're a little bit all over the place on him, but another guy with really good pedigree, a guy we talked about a lot coming out. He got to start right away. He got to play right away, and he's shown a good amount so far in his year and a half that, hey, he can probably play at the next level and do it fairly well. And if you don't know much about the kid, he looks a lot like Pat Mahomes. He's got the same kind of haircut. He does a lot of the same mannerisms. It's a little creepy, to be honest. But if he can even play to 70% of Pat Mahomes, that's a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. So let's see. Jagger, why don't you talk about this guy for me real quick?
I have to basically Men in Black myself when I watch his tape. I have to forget everything that I know about him as a person, because I'm not going to lie. All the physical traits are there. He's another one where it feels like the high school recruiting hype is matching what we're seeing on the tape. I like Matt Rule's system for development. He gives me the ick so bad, man. Like he gives me the ick, man. Like this, like, excuse my French, guys. He just seems like a little shit ass. Like Shedeur Sanders, what you saw it. I don't know. I don't know how to write that into scouting. I don't grade for that, but it gives me the ick. I won't call it a red flag. Maybe it's yellow. Maybe it's orange. So
look,
I don't know.
I want to jump in because I agree with you. I was going to actually bring that up. I'm the highest on Raiola. I have him number 2 right now, actually, in my rankings. And that's really because we're doing these off of Superflex, so I have to imagine that when the time comes around, we're going to be drafting quarterbacks highly up the board. So I just account for it today. But Raiola is my favorite. I liked him a little bit more than Sayin. I just think very corny, but the kid's a baller. Like, you got to take the corniness out of the evaluation, because you do see, him doing the Mahomes flex and him doing the pregame celebrations and everything. Like, he's doing everything to a T. Now, that might be very good from a marketing standpoint, because if you get the Mahomes comps, you're going to be drafted very highly, I think, up the draft board. So that might be strategic on his end. But I love the way he plays football, man. Instant starter. I think he's very solid all around. There's really no part of his game that I've been looking at and I'm like, ooh, that's a problem for him. I haven't seen that come up yet. Just a guy who's not even having the best weapons around him. We talk about Sayin having Jeremiah and these other guys, and he's doing it with, can anybody here name like a legitimate Nebraska wide receiver at the moment? Like,
not
Ja'Cory Barney.
Okay.
Did anybody else know that name? That's my point.
Jared's
probably not an NFL guy though. Probably not an NFL guy.
Yeah.
But that's my point is like, he's out here, he's doing it 4 touchdown games, 350 passing yard games. He did it against Michigan, which is a top 25 team and a solid defense. Like, I think this is a very solid player. And overall too, you look at the completion percentages as a freshman, flirting with 70% completion percentage this year at 74%. It looks good for Raiola. And like you said, men in black it, whatever, do whatever you got to do. It's corny, but the kid's a baller.
Dude, all the reports I've read, his teammates love him, and he's a workaholic. Like the coaches say, like he's first in, last out kind of guy. And it's something to be said to come in there as a freshman and play in the Big Ten like he did. He didn't look scared. He's a playmaker. Like he can move in the pocket, make plays downfield. So, yeah, it's a little weird with Mahomes stuff, but hey, let's let the kid be and
people
might
have said Kobe was weird for trying to mimic Mike, but it worked out.
Yeah,
you're not wrong, and I think it's just who he's trying to mimic. And I'm old now. Like there's so many people
Dude,
that would just
I know.
Yeah, they're just like I know so many people try to mimic Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and it didn't look as bad. But now I just see it, and I'm just an old man. I'm just like, what are you doing, kid? Pull your pants up. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys: do you think Mahomes got the haircut this year to try and get away from the Raiola?
I hope, man. I hope a little bit. Yeah,
I think it stands out a little bit more too because Mahomes just has some very unique traits and mannerisms. Like Manning and Brady, from a look and style standpoint, were super vanilla. So it's just like, just a generic vanilla white guy pocket passing quarterback. Like it doesn't stand out as much. Where Mahomes does have all like the weird facial expressions and
the walk,
the all that stuff, and whatever it is.
The celebrations, the warm up, it's the
number on the jersey, all of it, everything.
Dude, it's the color of the jerseys. Yeah, like did he choose Nebraska because of that? Like,
you're right. I shouldn't judge him. Because like I've always wanted a Triple H every time I come out on somewhere. Like we all got dreams.
It was Mike Allstott and Peyton Hillis for me. So I get it. I get it. We all got a style.
Arkansas legend.
Hey, Nerd Herd, want to tell you about a show that we've been doing live on YouTube where we go over your teams and we talk about how to fix your broken roster. It's called Roster Rescue. We do it live every single Monday at noon Eastern time. And if you want to get a part of that, just head to our Dynasty Nerds homepage, go under the store tab, and you'll find Roster Rescue right there. Perfect opportunity to get your rosters in shape before the season or even in the middle of the season to make sure that you can win a championship. Let's move on to the first running back. We finally got a running back on the board here. Spoiler alert, only 2 in this class.
He's a good one.
Ranked, but he is a very good one. One of the leading rushers in the country. In fact, week in, week out, it kind of flirts back and forth with him being the number 1 overall guy in the country. Okay, now he's number 2 or 3. Now he's number 1. Now, so he's going to be battling all year long for that top spot. But it's Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy. And Jared, I know I've been hearing a lot of things about this kid that really have me encouraged that he's one of the best backs in college football right now, if not maybe even the best running back in college football right now. What about him do you like, and does that translate to the NFL?
Yeah, so transferred in from UL Monroe to Missouri, and to come into the SEC and just produce like he is right now is saying something. So he's got really good tackle breaking ability. Like I love his contact balance. I think that's his like number 1 trait. And like me scouting, like I said it a couple weeks ago, like contact balance is so big for me because I think that just that trait alone is hard to replicate. Like if you don't have that, I feel like backs typically struggle at the next level. You got to be able to make the first guy miss and be able to shed tackles and get extra yards. That's what sets you apart. And this guy does that. So I really like Ahmad Hardy. He's not going to like win, like, he's not the fastest guy on the field, but he's got plenty of burst. So Garrett, I know you really like this kid too, so I want to give you the opportunity to speak on him. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said so far. He's 5'10", 206, so he's not going to come in there as this 6 foot, 225, like prototype elite Bijan Robinson type running back. But he does a lot of the little things right, and that is what will get me every time. A guy that does the little things right, they're gonna continue to move up my board. And you're right, going from a small school, you never know how those guys are going to translate. Sometimes they do exactly what Ahmad Hardy did, and sometimes they're more Mekhi Hughes, and they just don't get an opportunity, and things start to crumble a little bit. So to see him be able to kind of elevate his game, but I was listening to a few different people talk. John Gruden was one of them that was talking about Ahmad Hardy and what he thought of his game and how he thinks he's the best running back in the country, despite not even being draft eligible and things like that. So there's a lot of positive buzz around this kid, and to do it not only in the SEC, but in a school that traditionally isn't considered one of those powerhouse schools. It's not Georgia, it's not Bama, it's not one of LSU. It's one of those smaller schools where he's going to have to play against all of those teams with lesser help around him. That always makes me feel good too, because it's not just somebody carrying him, just an elite offensive line. No, he's having to do a lot of work on his own as well. So really, really like this kid. For either one of you guys, I know you guys maybe haven't seen as much Ahmad Hardy yet, but either one of you have any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think this is a player who's kind of like you said, it's kind of boring. Like the way that he wins as a runner, he's not super flashy. It's not like a Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not anything that's going to go out there and like just pop off the screen. But then at this point in time, we're trying to just look at highlights and we're trying to look at box scores and things like that for these players. And I'm looking at this guy's season stats right now, and I'm like, did he play the same amount of games as everybody else in this class? Because
right.
There's no way that he has almost 800 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns at this point in time. And all these other guys are, in the 400s, 500s. And I was trying to look at it, and I'm like, damn, he is really out here breaking off chunk plays. So, no, I think he's a very fun player. I'm going to be very excited as we get more of this all-22 tape into the film room and things like that, so we can start seeing even more of those traits that are easier to see when you have the all-22. But I think he's just a very solid player, and I like what we have out of him.
You guys all said the right things, but the only thing that is, and I got to look at the all-22. The only thing that's a red flag is like Mizzou has tricked me before on these productive guys.
Sure.
So that's what I'm only thing that I'm worried about, because like they're a school that I don't helmet scout, but I a little bit helmet scout.
Was it Tyler Beatty?
Superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
What was our last good prospect? Is it Tyler Beatty? Is that
who was it was
the
a
white
Carson,
kid that won the 7th round? Undrafted.
Yeah.
Schrader?
Yeah. Dude,
Carson Schrader.
Carson Schrader was like
Cody Schrader.
RB5. Cody Schrader was like, my top 5 back, and I look like a clown because he was so productive, and he had a lot of receiving stuff. So I'm like, hey man, this guy's something, and then he was nothing.
Yeah, that's all right. We have those sometimes.
Yeah, we all end up liking guys sometimes. That just everyone else doesn't, and they don't pan out. But
you play this prospect game long enough, you're going to be wrong plenty of times.
You're going to miss eventually.
A lot. Yeah, I'm going to do it again, guys. Spoilers.
Do it again. All right, let's get to the next one. We're back to the wide receivers. This is a very, very strong wide receiver class, and we are looking at Clemson wide receiver Bryant Wesco, another guy that had that great pedigree. This was one of the biggest names in this class coming out from high school into the NFL or into college football. I keep wanting to already put him in the NFL, into college football, and he's been producing. And Antonio Williams is there in Clemson as well. And there's even another guy in the same class, TJ Moore. And so he was in his class as well. But Bryant Wesco has really kind of elevated himself and put himself kind of as that alpha dog on the team. And so, Andrew, tell us what you think of Bryant Wesco and why he deserves to be a top 10 guy.
Yeah, I'm actually the lowest, so I'm surprised you started with me because I'm the lowest on Wesco.
I'm just trying to get everybody fed.
No, that's fine. But I also
thought he was coming to me for sure.
I also feel like it's because I pushed quarterbacks up the board and you guys didn't really push quarterbacks up the board. So I think that's part of the reason why I look like I'm the lowest. But I think he's a very solid player, a little bit thin, kind of this long, lanky guy that as I'm watching the highlights and things, I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's a lot of big plays here where he's just butt naked open right here. Like, I don't even know how he's that open. And I wish, this is like the player I think the most so far in this class, that I'm like, I wish I had some all 22 because I want to see how he's winning. Is it just athleticism? Is it him, routing these guys up? So he's a player that I like. I think he's probably, I can't remember where he's off the top of my head. I think he's my wide receiver 5 in the class. But he's a player that I am definitely waiting to like put any strong opinions on it until I see the all 22 because he is just open way too often for me to think that like, is he really that good of a route runner? Because if he's that open, that good, I need to move him up my rankings maybe.
I know I'm at that point with him where I think he's that good of a route runner. He's very good. He's one of my huge questions of why does Clemson suck? I was like, you got, sure. Wow, you got this really talented receivers. I thought you had a quarterback, and like, why aren't you good here? Because you got the goods there. And I'm interested to see him fall. And I kind of think, I'm not doing a direct comp. I mean, situationally, where we have another Tee Higgins situation where one of these teams drafting towards the back end are going to get a guy super cheap. I'm hoping my Pats start getting down there and we get a guy with some actual size, not a lot of these. I love Efton Chisholm, but
I think he definitely has like a first round type skill set. Like I think he could be a first round draft pick.
Creep right in at the bottom
in 2027. Yeah. I think he is a good route runner. He's the first Clemson receiver to eclipse 700 yards in his freshman year since Sammy Watkins. So he had a really good year last year. I think it is the quarterback at Clemson. It's just not. They're not.
It's not clicking.
They're just not clicking. Yeah. So I like Wesco a lot here. I had him ranked 4th overall. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers. I think we've got this wide receiver class, man, it's pretty special. So, Garrett, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, you guys covered a lot of it, but I do think that this kid, he's got a lot of the traits that you want. He's got the size. He's got it's all there. It's all there for a Wesco. So I definitely am a fan of his game, and I'm a fan of the next guy as well. And I think this guy I ended up being the highest of the group on by a decent margin, actually. Nick Marsh, wide receiver, Michigan State. This was one of the few guys that we have in here at the wide receiver position where he wasn't this crazy highly sought after recruit. Now, he was still a 4-star guy, so it wasn't like he was some scrub or anything like that, but you had to scroll a little bit to find him in 24/7 sports compared to these other receivers that we've been talking about. But I mean, this is a player that I think has really, really good upside. I would like to see him somewhere other than Michigan State to see maybe a little bit more of an open offense and a little bit better quarterback play, although their quarterback hasn't been too bad this season. But when I look at his game, I see his basketball background. It makes sense to me because what he does the best is those contested catches. He is a guy that is going to go up, he's going to get the ball, and he's going to come down with it with strong hands. I do worry a tiny bit. He's not as fluid as some of these other receivers in the class, and I think that's the thing that does worry me maybe a tiny bit on him because he is your more old school style X at 6'3", 200 pounds, like just a physical specimen. I'm going to go up and come down with the football, and I'm going to win that way. So I think he could be a red zone nightmare at the next level, but maybe just not the crazy athlete that maybe some of these other guys are. So that would be my only concern on Nick Marsh, but overall I'm very, very high on the kid, and it's a clear way to see how he's going to win at the next level. Any of you guys have any strong opinions on Nick Marsh?
Same. I think you pretty much nailed it. Like, we know what he does good. It's just, can he overcome the concerns or are those red flags, or maybe product of the system? Because like you said, it's Michigan State. It's not the first time they've had a guy that was a great wide receiver and we didn't find out until he got into the NFL. So I'm very interested. And you kind of wonder is this a guy, like you said, that transfers, and really tries to raise that draft stock by going somewhere like Indiana keeps hitting home runs and they just got Kurt Signetti for longer? That seems like someone I would target as a school I'd want to go if I'm an offensive guy, in any player for that matter.
Yeah, kind of the Keon Coleman thing when he was at Michigan State and then he goes over to Florida State, and obviously we saw his draft stock increase as he did that. So, and maybe not like the worst comp either for Nick Marsh is a Keon Coleman type of X, but I think he's a player that is just, I saw a little bit of the same with you, Garrett. You're definitely the highest, but there was times where I'm like, there's something here where it feels like he's a little bit choppy. There's not a lot of burst, it feels like sometimes with him, but you do see the contested catch. Just a solid player. I think he's the guy that comes in as my wide receiver 4, I think, in the class. I had him over Wesco. But overall, just a solid player. I think good, not great right now. We need to see a little bit more.
Yep, I think you guys hit it on the head there.
All right, well, let's go to the next one here. And this is a guy that if you – I don't know the correct way to say this, but I didn't need to – here's the right way. I did not need to watch a second of this guy play to know that I already liked him. If your name is Fluff, I'm in. Like, you're on my list. Fluff Bothwell.
I don't think I've ever heard that name before.
I've never heard that name before, especially for a dude that's rocked up like Fluff is. Like, I mean, he's a dude that is 225, 230 pounds. I mean, this dude he's yoked.
He squats 545 and power cleans 305 pounds too.
I mean,
that power clean's nuts. Like squat, I can do that, dude. But like that power clean is bananas.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a physical dude, and similar path to Ahmad Hardy, where he was a guy in the Sun Belt, and then he was at South Alabama, got an opportunity to go to an SEC school. So now he's at Mississippi State. Now, unfortunately, his numbers have dipped a little bit because he got injured a couple weeks ago, and so that's thrown him off. He wasn't able to play last week. They haven't said the specific injury. It sounds like an ankle is what it sounds like to me, but I haven't been able to quite figure out.
They said the X-rays were positive, like there was nothing serious.
Okay,
so that's good news.
Yeah, so he should be back very
concrete.
Soon. Yeah, so he should be back very soon, but has some good movement skills for a guy that's a bigger, more physical between the tackles back. But I don't think he has quite the tackle breaking of this guy. But if I was going to give him to like an archetype, more in the Javonte Williams type of vein of a player is kind of the lane that I see him in. At which we know I have a type, and Javonte Williams is that type. So it's not hard to see why I like this guy. Jared, I know you're already talking about him. What are your thoughts on Fluff?
Yeah, I like him too. Transfer from South Alabama, another Sun Belt running back, transferring into the SEC and producing. So I got him on a Campus to Canton roster. If you're interested, Garrett, make me. I think you're in that league with me.
Always.
Make me a good offer. But no, I like this kid. I think he's right where he belongs in our top 10 for the 27 class based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think this is like the.
I don't have.
Go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, all right. I think this is the part of the class where it's like, this is where I want a little bit more from. Not that Fluff, Bothwell is any bad player or anything like that. I think he's a fine player, but it's the running back position from basically here on out that I'm like, it could be this guy, or it could be that guy, or maybe it's this guy over here. Like this feels like the part of the class where there's a little bit less consensus and a lot more we still need to see some things out of these guys. So he's definitely a player. I like some of the traits, but there's probably a mix. I know when I was doing my rankings, I kind of had like 5 guys here where I was like, maybe he could be the RB2, maybe he could be the RB3. Like there was 5 guys that I was considering here.
Dude, they're all in the SEC too. Like all the.
Yep.
I'm going to cede my time for a little bit of strategy talk here, and I'm going to piggyback off a little bit of what you said, Andrew, about like C2C, Devi, etc. we got like running back, we got to devalue, like just real, like maybe you're already doing it because I don't do a lot of C2C, but especially with transfer portals, especially with the new college landscape, running back is just a landmine, I think, unless you are straight up a Bijan Robinson, where like Jeremiah Love has been basically penciled in as a top 2 running back for a long time at this point. We just can't value these guys ahead of time. And that's a lot of the reason why I'm barely even looking at running backs. You know, like one guy who I actually really like down the list, he sounds like I don't like him because I'm trying to think of his name exactly. But for well, the little guy from Louisville, Isaac Brown. I like him a lot. That's a guy I could think could transfer and either be Mekhi Hughes or be Jahmyr Gibbs, depending on where he goes to. And this is where I worry sometimes, especially with the 27 class, is it's top heavy, but what are you needing in the future, or what are you building or what are you targeting? Because things can change. This even goes further to quarterback, where I basically only feel good about wide receivers in the future and projecting them because they kind of dictate the pace of offense even more than a quarterback does. And I know that's weird, but they can just get open. Running backs can't do anything for themselves. And that's a big concern I have, at least by the class and with ranking running backs at this point.
I'm glad you say that, Jagger, because that's kind of just what I have done with my rankings. As you can see, like I push the quarterbacks up because of the strategy, the game that we play here, where it's like I know that those players are going to see an increase in value more likely than some of these running backs. They're not as fragile. Like when it comes down to this time in a year and a half from now or 2 years from now when we're drafting these classes, you're telling me a guy like that we haven't talked about, we will probably talk about him, Lagway, Manning, CJ Carr even is higher in my rankings than I think a lot of you guys have him, because the chance of those guys being a first round pick or something like that is going to push them up draft boards and increase their value in the game that we play, even though we may not think that they're like these elite prospects. So when I'm doing my rankings, that's what I'm trying to account for, is a little bit of value insulation as well in the game that we play, so I can get some value when I'm in my fantasy football leagues.
Well, and that has been tough this year in this running back class in particular. Isaac Brown came out as a freshman, looked really good, done basically nothing this year. Nate Frazier from Georgia came out, looked good as a freshman, done basically nothing this year. Jaden Baugh from Florida. Like there's a lot of these guys that we saw something as a freshman. They got some opportunity. They played pretty well. And then when they got the new transfer in, or, some guy got healthy or whatever, it's kind of pushed them down the board. And it does right now. And we were already saying about the 26 class, and we were saying this about the 27 class as well. Running back does not look super strong at this point. Things can alter, things can change. But that was part of the reason that this past year in the 25 class, I was telling people, I've looked at the next 2 classes. As of today, neither one of those classes look incredibly strong at the running back position.
There's no blue chip.
No. So if you're
no
going
Bijan,
to get a running back,
yeah.
You need to get them now. If you want to get Genty, if you want to get Quinshawn, if you want to get Travion, if you want to get Hampton, if you want to get all these guys, now's the time to do it, because otherwise you're not drafting him. You're going to have to trade for him because there's not going to be many coming in. And so that's part of the reason, even if you're not a college guy, that's the value of listening to some of these shows, is because now I already know how to plan in advance. If I'm in a spot where I'm going to be pushing toward a contender window next year or the year after, I can't hope to get my running backs from the draft. So I need to start making trades and preparations now, because it's not going to happen then, more than likely.
You guys wouldn't count Jeremiah as one of those blue chips?
Thank you. I was like, I think Jeremiah loves a blue chip.
I agree as well. I think he's a blue chip running back.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I think he could be a first round pick. So yeah,
everyone else, I like. You're
I would category
right. That's the only thing. And then my second thing is, would you, or what costs more right now, Quinshawn Judkins or a 2027 mid first?
Quinshawn.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that too.
At least for me, anyway. I'm looking for 2 firsts. If I'm going to give up Quinshawn, I need at least 2 firsts at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's looked good. I know you guys don't watch a lot of Browns games, but
I'm actually an alarming amount. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, more than I would like to be honest.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I get for drafting so much David Njoku this year.
Yeah, Harold Fanton for me.
You got me too. All right, let's get to our final prospect here. And another highly rated guy out of college, out of high school, got an opportunity right away as a freshman. DJ Lagway from Florida. He's come out and he's looked pretty good overall. Now, this is not the same type of prospect that we have with Julian Sayin. In fact, they're kind of the opposite ends of the spectrum. This is a guy that's more built on size, and he can do multiple things, but he's not going to be this pinpoint accuracy type guy. And these guys are tricky for me because on one hand, you have the ceiling of some of these players like a DJ Lagway, where the ceiling is so enticing. And sometimes these guys hit it, but there's often times where they don't. And so he's a trickier one for me. So let's see who ended up having him the highest. Andrew and Jagger, you both had him at 8. Either one of you. Andrew, why don't you go ahead? What do you think of DJ? Why do you feel at least decently solid about him as a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's these physical traits there with him, a really big arm where he can throw a pretty nasty deep ball. But I think that there's just these things with him where, especially this year, there was a lot of hype last year of DJ Lagway, and people were just waiting for Lagway to get onto the football field, and he finally did. But then this year, he's started out pretty, I would just say, up and down, all over the place. 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's struggled with some of the accuracies. They're not getting wins like they need to over at Florida. So, it makes me question a little bit with him. But like you said, it's one of those players where at the quarterback position, you have this big arm, you have the size, and it's enough that I'm like, okay, you have my interest, but can I see you start putting this together? That's where I'm kind of at with DJ Lagway. And that's why for me, he's more of like this fringe first round super flex pick for me at the moment. But if he starts showing a little bit more, it's back half of the sophomore year, junior year, he's a guy that I would not be shocked if he skyrockets to like a top 3, top 4 pick.
Yep. And his problem is he's in Florida, man, and he seems like dug in. He's like, no, this is my coach. And I'm like, are what? Like, I don't.
He'll be gone.
Yeah,
he's gonna get fired.
Well, is he going to follow him? Because it sounds like he's really dug in. I don't know if he's like doubling down where he's just like, I didn't pick wrong. This is whatever excuse. That's my only thing. Just like transfer to like a good school. Actually, who I would call if I'm him? Like Indiana, I'd be like, hey guys, what's in your wallet? Can you afford me?
For sure.
Just like go there or something. And that's his major issue is that Florida is up and down. Florida is a mess.
They're developing quarterbacks like crazy.
Yeah,
yep.
Like Carson Beck is going to trick people this year. So, like, go there, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't looked great, honestly. Like, he's made he just misses throws a lot, dude. But he's young, and he's going to get the pass because he's, like you said, he's got the tools. He's got what you look for as far as, like, a project goes, and building. So he just needs growth, and he needs a better system, like Jagger said, because the tools are there. So totally fine with like where you guys have him ranked. I had him at like 13. You guys had 8. Garrett, you had 15. So averaged into here to the 10th spot for us. So we'll see what the story gets. I don't know how to say it, but we'll see how his story gets written here when he's finally draft eligible.
Huh?
I'm trying to be nice.
I could tell you're really
I was just glad to see, because Jagger and I both had Manning higher than you by a mile, and I was so glad that we didn't have to make you talk about Arch Manning today.
Yeah, you're like he's definitely a quarterback in 2027.
He could learn how to play the quarterback position one day. That would be good for him.
I do recognize his name. All right, so that wraps up things for today. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll be back each and every Friday, and we've got some things up our sleeve. I'm not gonna reveal anything. I don't want to pull a Rich Dotson, put the cart ahead of the horse, but we've got some things up our sleeve. I'll just say, if you've been enjoying this college content, maybe there'll be some good news coming out very soon. So, anything else from any of you guys before we get out of here? No?
Good luck to the 2027 class, because this is going to change every day. So
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to give us 5 stars on all the right platforms. Give us all the things because we want to keep this good time rolling. We appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.